Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to all the people watching on the live stream and especially watching on the replay. We have a very special guest, the people from Nonies Boracay, to talk about the story of Nonies and what happened during this time. They're streaming live from where are you guys?
Sky.
From our
Uh,
apartment in Boracay.
Yes.
yes. And so, if you have any questions, please join us in this morning's discussion, and we'll be talking about Nonies, what happened, and moving forward as well. My name is Antonius, founder of Our Awesome Planet.
All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to and thank you for
All right, good morning. So, to start off, before you start your introduction, maybe I'll just play a video for those people who are not familiar yet with Nonies, and then please share your introduction. We'll play this video first. Nonies Boracay.
Sure.
Three, two, one.
All right. So this is one of our favorite restaurants in Boracay. Maybe Patrick and Tria, maybe you can do an introduction of uh, your interesting story of how you got to the island of Boracay.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Patrick Florencio and my wife Shreya. And we've been living here now in Boracay. We moved in towards the end of 2016. And we opened the restaurant on Valentine's Day, February 14, 2017. Prior to coming to Boracay, we were both living and working in Singapore, and that's where we met. The idea to start this business started brewing, and we then quit our corporate jobs and moved to the island.
It took a big leap of faith, and we're still here, still living here. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, as you know, Anton. It's been an interesting journey for Boracay in the last few years.
Yeah. So maybe can you get us up to date? You probably now have what, 3 lockdowns? And four lockdowns. Maybe can you just give us a quick update? From the first lockdown to this lockdown and what happened?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, when we opened in 2017, it exceeded our expectations. To be honest, we were new to the island. Coming from abroad, we knew about the island, but we didn't really know the ins and outs. So, like Tria said, it was really a leap of faith, and we got into the business. We had a lot to learn, and when we opened it, it took off. It was doing really well, and we were really happy. And we were working very hard. And then as things were starting to gain momentum, the sort of first half of 2018, we went through the first Boracay closure for the rehabilitation of the island. So that was, 6 months closure. Obviously a very difficult period of time, but in hindsight, was a little more manageable compared to the lockdowns we're experiencing now, because at least back then, you knew it was only 6 months and, the rest of the world was normal. So when we reopened Boracay, we were, quite certain people would come back, which was the case. So we had our first full calendar year of business operations in 2019. and things were going good. We were sort of on the expansion route. We were planning to open more restaurants, and it was all moving in the right direction. Then of course the world changed in 2020, and we sort of went back into lockdown again. So that was quite tough, and again very uncertain. We initially thought it was going to be for 2 weeks, and then okay, maybe it was just 2 months. But we were all very positive that it would at least open at some point. I don't think any of us expected it would be going on for this long. So it's been an interesting situation where you plan for one thing and then it keeps extending. So it's been a bit challenging, but we've had a lot of good local support from the community. So basically we've been staying open. These lockdowns compared to the first one where we just closed because it was easier to plan. This one we've been in this situation where we stayed open and we just kept staying open. And the focus has really been the local community, since there's no tourists coming to the island. So that was the round one of ECQ quarantine, and you really had to get creative because it's just a small local community. So you have to get creative with your offerings, and we started offering different food. We started an Indian menu, so an Indian food concept, and that really took off. And it's we're still in the beginning phase of this second ECQ lockdowns, and it's I mean, to be honest, it is a little more challenging. We're feeling that it's year 2. Local community, I'm sure people are being a bit more cautious now. There has been cases on the island, so people are also going out less. So it's a little bit of a different feeling this round of ECQ compared to the one last year.
Yeah. So what happened during this time? No, during this ECQ, maybe just share with us. I know it was going into Holy Week, and then and this thing happened, and then you have cases. What really happened in Boracay during this time?
Yeah, so there was reports of cases starting to rise, right? And this was sort of on the back of Manila just announcing their ECQ. So for once Manila announced an ECQ, the island was, we thought the island was still okay in terms of being relatively COVID-free. And then the news came out of cases starting to rise. So the island's not fully under ECQ, but there are areas like barangays and certain zones within barangays that are under ECQ. Nonies, where we are in Station X, our location is under what they're called a surgical lockdown. So it's essentially an ECQ type of lockdown. However, the LGU never, they didn't place restrictions on essential businesses having to close. So, restaurants, grocery stores, supermarkets, we could all technically stay open. But just to sort of play it safe, we decided to, during this period, just do takeout and delivery. So for the past, I would say almost 2 weeks now, we've just been doing closed for dine-in and doing only takeout and delivery.
All right. And so I'm actually inspired by what you guys did to manage through all the lockdowns. Maybe you can share with us. I know you, Shreya is doing DJ gig, or how did that came about? How did that came about? Maybe you can share it with us during the time, because a lot of people need to be more creative during this lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, DJ, it's a generous term. Thank you for calling me a DJ. So what we've been doing, I guess, we found ourselves with so much time on our hands. And when we first opened Nonies, really all our time we had focused on the business. So we were really there almost every day, especially in the first year, we were there basically open to close. So we really had not a lot of time to, I guess, socialize and, get to know the community more. So on the plus side, what happened during the lockdowns is that, the community really came together and we got to know a lot more people. So what we did was, we were very much more. I guess you were meeting a lot more people as well. Pat was delivery driver for Nonies, so he was out delivering the food. So, really getting to know a lot of the customers. And then what we found was just a really nice community of people that were coming together. And we had a friend from there that invited us to learn how to DJ. So actually, Pat was the one who did it first. So he was the first DJ in the family. and it saves a lot of money. So if we ever have events now, we can just, I either get Pat or Pat gets me. So it's been really fun. So it's something that's been such a great creative outlet and stress relief. So now we have our own equipment. So really enjoying it. But yeah, we just had to get a little bit creative. So things like, which I think, in Manila, you guys are all doing, like take-home kits, doing daily items. So we had to think of how do we rejig our offerings for people who are staying home. And I'm so sorry about my dog, by the way. He's very, he's very excitable. So we started doing Nonies daily items, which was things like our bao buns, our meats, things that people might want to cook at home. And then, we found that a lot of people were looking for new things. And I think because, Nonies has been around for a while, people were really looking for new offerings. And then that's kind of where we decided to try the Indian. So I'm Indian heritage. And we decided to try something a little bit different. And we started selling samosas from home. And that took off. So then we thought, okay, maybe we'll start selling a little bit of Indian food on the side. And it became kind of like a different curry every day or curry of the week. And then now we have a little ghost kitchen concept. Oh, hello. It's your little one. We have a little ghost kitchen called Little Taj, which we now serve outside of in Nonies as well. So so we got pretty creative, I think, during the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, you have the local community. They obviously can't eat the same food every time, so we just try to keep coming up with new things and new items.
When you talk about the local community, can you give us a flavor of who the local community in Boracay is? I know there are like tourists who are staying longer. Are there like really locals there? What's the general composition of when you say local community?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you think about it, it's quite multicultural. It's quite a mix of people. You have people that work here at some of the hotels that aren't really from Boracay. They might be from Manila or whatever. You have foreigners that live here that are either working or have businesses or have retired here. And then you have the tourists that decided to stay here because they're working from home anyways. And then of course you have the Malaynons and the Boracaynons that have been here since the beginning of time. So it's a good mix of locals, foreigners, people that work, and people that are not retired. So you have all the different ages and different nationalities as well.
Yeah, and so the Indian food was quite interesting. But were there a lot of Indian offerings already on the island before you operated it? And what type of Indian food did you create?
Yeah, there was actually the first restaurant in Boracay was an Indian restaurant, which is amazing to me. I think that's so cool. So yeah, that was the very first restaurant here. Amazing restaurant. Unfortunately, they closed for the time being, so they were closed. Then there was one in City Mall, and then
One
there
in
was
the mall, yes.
one in City Mall. And then there was also one on the other side of the island, near Station 3 side. And unfortunately, those were all shut also. So I guess just the timing was right, and that there was no other Indian offering on the island
at the time.
And what's the sorry? So when you created the Indian food, the ghost kitchen. So most of your business now are on delivery, I guess, during this lockdown.
Actually, we also have a little cafe that we opened in December.
Yeah, can you tell us more about
You know,
that?
yeah, so that was we actually have two friends that we started that with in December. So really kind of peak pandemic
Yeah.
time, but it's more near. I'm not sure. I'm sure you know Puka Beach. It's kind of on the other side of the island,
Yeah.
which is where we live, and there was not as many food offerings on the side. Now there's been new restaurants that are kind of opening on the side, which is really cool to see. So
Yeah.
it's kind of organically happening. But we wanted to have nice coffee where we live, and it's more of a, I guess, almost New Zealand Australian inspired, which is where I grew up in New Zealand, and our partner is also Australian. So we thought, let's kind of mix it both. So a bit of Australian, New Zealand, and Filipino. So yeah, so we started Bunchies in December, and that has dine-in. So we still kept that one open for dine-in because this part of the island is not under surgical lockdown.
It's only the White Beach area, in a sense.
Yeah, it's
Basically, yeah.
basically Barangay Balabag, which is pretty much most of Station 2 and 1.
Mhm.
Then certain parts of Manok Manok, but Station 3 part of the beach is okay still. Yeah, so it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that? So is it true that there was a? So I guess the spreader party in Boracay, was the one that created all this COVID, or what really happened during the time?
I mean, yeah, it's hard to pinpoint because it's COVID, right? There's a
Yeah.
2 week lag, and so I don't know if you could really pinpoint it, but it was a situation where the island was open, right? The island was open for tourists, um, and it was COVID free. So I think just like anywhere else in the world where they started to relax on rules and they get that second wave. So I think that's just basically what happened here. As sort of business owners, you're always in the back of your mind that it probably going to come at some point. You'd hope it didn't, but it did, just like anywhere else in the world. So I don't know. It's hard to really pinpoint where because there's that whole 2 week lag, so it's really hard to tell.
Yeah. And no, and then maybe you could also share for us because a lot of people were wondering about the internet in Boracay, and
Yeah.
if you can like operate your own business from Boracay or an online business. What
Yeah.
happened? Because before it was a bit slow, not really slow. It's like the latency was really low. But what happened now, and how are you guys? Are you guys doing online business as well?
Yeah, I mean, I would say from when we first moved in 2016, the internet has, I mean, from my observation, has improved quite a bit. I mean, the local providers like Kalibo Cable and PCTV have slowly started to upgrade in terms of the speed offerings that they could have. But from what we've been using, Globe and Smart, I think, has really improved on the island. Depending on where you're on the island, sometimes Globe works better, sometimes Smart works better. So once you have that figured out, it's actually pretty good. I mean, Globe has now started their fiber service here in Boracay. So yeah, definitely, a lot of people from Manila have moved here temporarily to work remotely. So it's definitely good enough to work here.
Yeah.
And yeah, just
online.
to
Yeah.
answer your question, because our livelihood was sort of affected with the business, we did have to do other online work and sort of fall back on some of the previous work that we've done and some of the corporate skills that we have. We had to dust those off a little and try to get some work here and there where we could.
Yeah. So was there? I know you really had to take a big leap of faith. Was there any regret, or maybe I mean, you guys live in Singapore and now you're in the island. How do you think about these challenges that the pandemic offers you today?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
No regrets at all. Like if you think about everything that we've been through, but the whole island has been through, and other businesses have been through. 2, 3 closures, depending on how you want to count it. I don't think for me ever once I was like, oh my God, what did I do? Like I think I just want to go back to work. I'm sure Anton. You know a lot of restaurant owners. It's a tough business, but it's one of those businesses. If you're very passionate about it, it's hard to leave. It's a very enjoyable business. You get to know really a lot of people. You get really connected to a community. Fortunately, we've been able to do some side things to really, to really, keep surviving. So I mean that has helped. But I would say for me, no regrets. What about you?
Yeah, no, I would say the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not all, roses, but it's definitely a challenge. But I think the surprising thing for us is we had actually never worked in a restaurant, which is crazy. So to think that we just gave up our jobs to go into the restaurant business, but we had never worked in a restaurant. I think the most I'd worked in a cafe during high school and a smoothie bar during university. So that was really like the extent of our hospitality experience. So we really didn't know how it was going to go. And I think in the back of our mind, we always thought, okay, we're going to take this leap of faith, but if it doesn't work out, we can always work. Like we always had it in the back of our mind. But we just really fell in love with the business. And it's just such a truly rewarding business to see people come into your restaurant, enjoy your food. I mean, we've had people got engaged at our restaurant. We've had people want us to cater their weddings. Like, it's just amazing to see people enjoy something that you created. And I just can't explain the feeling of satisfaction. It's not something that I've ever had before. So for me, I don't think I could ever replace that. Yes, maybe we would have to supplement our income, and we're lucky that we can. But I think it's definitely our number one passion for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a whole family behind Nonies, right? We have a whole team that, they a lot of them have been with us since the beginning, and I think that's also a big factor that just really keeps us going, because they want to also keep going with us. So motivation-wise, that really plays a factor into a lot of our decisions. I mean, you have the usual challenges of running a business during this time, especially in a restaurant, with costs can get out of control really quickly, and it's very difficult. But I would say for me, as a business owner, the biggest challenge has really been emotional, right? It's like you go through these situations where you can't control anything, and you get really emotional sometimes, but you have to try to separate that and not make decisions based on some of these emotions. So that's been a tough challenge for me.
Yeah. And that's very important. How do you handle the emotional, do you handle your emotional resilience on this situation? Maybe you can also comment. There are a lot of stories also that a lot of people think that Boracay is all really just nice, but I know there are a lot of mental cases, challenges also for people living in Boracay. How did you overcome that, or how do you look at that? Any advice to people in the restaurant industry to how do you really handle this situation right now?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I think one of the reasons why we're really we still really want to keep going is we know when the island it is normal, business works, it's a good place to do business. There's a lot of people that come visit, right? I think living here, island fever is a thing, like you do sometimes feel enclosed. It's a small town. I grew up in a small town in Canada, so I sort of can relate a little bit, but there are times where you just really need to get off the island. You need to go to Manila, or you need to go somewhere different, just change of scenery. So I think that really helps when you go off the island, and that's what a lot of locals do. They really take a break from the island, they go off for a bit, and then when they come back, it's sort of like a refreshing feeling.
Yeah, and I think we're very lucky that we're surrounded by the most beautiful nature. So even if you want to break, if it's getting too much, you can go to the most amazing beach. You can go for a jog. I think there is a lot to be said about being out in the fresh air, and
Yeah.
we're very lucky that we have that on our doorstep. And I think also remembering that when you're there and when your sales aren't coming in, when you're sitting in your empty restaurant, it's not your fault. So I think that's the thing is for us, we know that it works. It's worked before, and what is happening? It's not due to you're being a bad business owner. It's not due to your product's not good. It's not due to your customers don't want your food anymore. It's 99% is due to the situation that none of us can control. So if you just try to keep that in the back of your mind, I think that really helps. Taking away that stress on yourself because there's only so much that you can do in the situation.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, like, we're in a tourist market, so we're completely dependent on tourists. So there may be differences between the restaurant business here compared to say in a city. But I would say just in general for any people thinking about the restaurant or and I'm sure other restaurant owners know this is you always hear that it's not the easiest business. It is a tough business, but I would say it's a very rewarding business, not just from the money perspective, but from everything else. It's a very rewarding job. Teamwork. You see teamwork in action like I've never seen it before. Even playing sports and being part of other teams, other types of businesses. You don't see teamwork work like it does in a restaurant. So I think you really know what you're getting into if you want to get into the restaurant business. It's a lot of work, yeah, but it's very rewarding.
Now, a big part of the cost of operating a restaurant is the rental lease. How did Boracay handle that, or what was your experience with rental lease for your restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, I have to take this moment to really shout out to Dennis and Dexter Lee, who are the owners who are our landlords, the owners of the Hugh Hotel. Really without them, we wouldn't still be here. Like you said, the rent plays a huge factor in terms of being able to operate. So they've been very generous and very flexible in really supporting us and helping us throughout this time. And I think there's also a lot of landlords in Boracay that have given discounts, or certain different arrangements when it comes to rent. But I don't, every landlord may be different. But I would say for us, it's been the main factor of why sort of we're still also kicking around with it if it wasn't for their support. Oh,
Sorry.
I think you're on.
Sorry. I know a lot of people are dreaming about going to Boracay and experiencing Nonies. Maybe let's talk about the food that what is still available. But I'll pick up some comments. Cheryl said,
Oh. Hi, Cheryl.
Keshani Naidu said, the
Aw.
best team. Try it. And Marinong Cusinera said, I miss you so much there. Adlai Arroz Caldo, partner with delicious creamy butter chicken and homemade parata. Hope everything's back to normal. And Cheryl had a follow-up. I look up to these two, their resilience, overcoming challenges that thrown their way. Yeah, actually, I was amazed on how you guys are maneuvering this pandemic. Truly applaud their creativity. Thank you so much for shout out, giving credit to Station X and New Hotels Boracay. Now, I wanted to get your tips on what are your let's talk about the food that people can expect in Nonies. Of course, when everything is back in place, I'll share the Instagram, and maybe you can point to us your favorites that people should watch out for. So there's a lot in this menu, and maybe any tips on which food to check out first or to look forward to?
Me go
What's your
first?
favorite? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm I'm a sweet tooth, so the pandan pancakes for me is something that I order a lot of times when I'm at the restaurant. And then I guess it's maybe the North American side in me, but I like our pork and beans. So that's something I eat
Pork
quite
and
often.
beans?
It's this one, actually, this one here.
This one right, right there
Which one?
on the left below the lady there.
Left-hand
This
side.
one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Big old piece of pork.
yeah, so we did a lot of work on our pork belly, which is involves quite a process, and I feel this dish just is a good highlight for that ingredient.
Yeah.
And I would say our kimchi noodle soup as well, which
Oh, that's my favorite also. Where's
yeah,
that?
Thank you.
we sort of put our twist on a.
So, yeah.
Our kimchi, is homemade, but we put in a lot of our, local vegetables in there. So it's not just cabbage. We put, sitaw in there. Sometimes we put kangkong in there. Yeah, so I think it's just a nice little twist that I like.
You better say your mom's one also.
Oh yeah, and sorry, my mom's recipe, which is our barbecue pork grain bowl. So it's sort of. It's in one of those grain bowls there on the left there.
It's a bowl.
Yeah, it's a grain bowl, and it comes with 2 pork barbecue sticks, which is marinated in my mom's recipe.
Wow.
So his mom is Nonie. So
Oh,
with
right there.
the restaurant's named after his mom.
Uh-huh.
And this recipe is a family recipe that she very generously shared with us. So
Yeah.
that's our best-selling grain bowl, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it has laing, has the sticks, it has adlai.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, ang sarap.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites, but
Yeah.
Shri has a different set because she's vegetarian pescatarian. So she
Yeah.
has other.
So mine, I would say my number one dish is our tempeh kare kare, which is the one just in the middle below the pork and beans.
This one. Tempeh.
Yes.
You make your own tempeh.
Yes, and that is something I'm so proud of because it took our team, I would say, at least 3 months to get the tempeh right. And now we make our own tempeh starter. Because it was actually really challenging to get the reprima because it's an Indonesian product. It was very hard to find. So
Yeah.
Chef Eric, who is our head chef at Nonies, he actually figured out how to make his own tempeh starter. So yeah, so this is tempeh with the sauce is made out of cashew, and then we serve it with black rice. That's my favorite.
Nice.
And we make our own vegan bagoong.
With vegan bagoong. How do you make a vegan bagoong?
It's made with, it's like a salty bean that we make.
Salted black beans. Yeah.
salted.
Salted black bean. Okay.
This is out.
That's
Yeah.
the base. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different types of vegan bagoongs that we've seen. Like some people make with mushrooms, but
Yeah.
for ours is salted black beans. And yeah, I mean, Chef Derek was our first hire. We
Yeah.
actually hired him when we were still in Singapore. So we
Really?
actually never met him
Yeah.
before we even hired him. But so he's been with us since the beginning. And yeah, we asked him to really test out a lot of things because
It's very creative.
we have ideas and sometimes we can't always get ingredients here on Boracay, so we have to get a bit creative and try to make it ourselves. So yeah, he's been the one doing a lot of tests for us.
And just a question on the vegan and the non-vegan. How are there a lot of people going for the vegan option, and how do you manage that vegan and non-vegan branding for Nonies?
There is actually surprisingly more than we expected. People going for the vegan items. So when we first opened, it was really kind of more, I would say, the tourists, but we've noticed more of a transition to more, I guess, people exploring veganism in Manila. So there's also a lot of people from Manila, and even on the island, we have a lot of vegans as well. So basically what we did was we really spent a lot of time training our team on what is vegan and what is not vegan. And it was I remember in the beginning, it was quite a new concept. So, at first they were like, is this a religious thing? Why would people? Yeah, I was like, trying to explain. But now they're very, very good at what's vegan, and we even our whole concept is inclusive dining. So we don't really want to just be the vegan friendly restaurant. We want to be the restaurant where if you're gluten free, if you have nut allergy, if you have a shellfish allergy, you can really eat at Nonies, knowing that they understand that they have the procedures in place, that you feel safe dining there. So that was really our whole original concept.
Yeah, and really menu, I guess, curation, making sure there's options in every section of the menu for for people with preferences. So that's what we really work hard on and focus on, and the knowledge and trying to work with the team so that they are relaying the right information, and it can also answer questions, because I think that's the biggest thing, especially with people that are new or exploring. They usually have a lot of questions. What's this ingredient, what's that ingredient, etc. So I think it starts with the service staff.
Okay. I have to ask about Little Taj, no, because I like the curry there, but I just had a few of your street snacks, so I like to ask your recommendation. But before that, I'll pick up some of the comments. Can't wait to travel again from Christine Fernando, Miss Burak, Nonies. You guys are just awesome. And Derek Perez said, thank you. Okay, Sharon said her personal favorite would be the tempeh green ball. Yeah, that's actually hard to do, the tempeh, no? As well as their chicken pork adobo. Yes, okay. They have the best parata, which is the best pair with chicken tikka masala. Okay, and then of course kombucha. Now I'll share the Little Taj. Maybe you can share with us what's your favorite in Little Taj, or what can people look forward to? I guess this is not only a pandemic thing, right? It will be an ongoing thing. Okay.
Yeah, so we plan to put Little Taj in Station X when things open up again. So that's the plan. So I would say our best sellers at Little Taj is definitely the chicken tikka masala, and which is above, a little bit up. It's actually one of the first
This one
on the right hand side. Yeah, that's the chicken tikka masala.
Wow.
That one is bestseller, and we also have that with paneer, which is Indian cheese that we make. And I would say the next bestseller would be the butter chicken.
Yeah.
Classic.
Butter chicken.
Yeah.
But butter chicken.
Yeah. But I think also what's popular, which we introduced, which I think was quite new to a lot of people here, was the chaat concept. So like the Indian street food, and which is what you tried, Anton.
Yes, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a few options like that, which I think a lot of people didn't know about, but they like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So chaat is basically any type of street food that you can get on the side of the road in India. So we have a few selections of chaat. So this is one. This is papi chaat. So we make puri. So it's almost like, my friend calls these namaste nachos. They're like Indian nachos, basically. And then you have it topped with chickpea potatoes. This one's a vegetarian dish, and it's really kind of tangy. We make our own yogurt. It has yogurt on top.
Wow.
So it's a nice little snack. So usually you would have that as an appetizer, and then you'd probably go for curry after that. Our concept is really chai, chaat, and curry. That's what we...
Chai, chaat, and curry. Nice. And then, so you can order this for dining in Nonies, right? Or not really?
You can.
Yeah, you can. So we give our customers both menus, the Little Taj menu as well as the Nonies menu.
And would you say your Indian is more northern or southern Indian? Or
it's definitely a mix. I would say it's a mix. So the chaats, a lot of the chaats are more South Indian, but then a lot of the curries are kind of North Indian. So it is a little bit of a mix. I think when we finally open our own standalone location. I definitely favor more South Indian cuisine. That's kind of more my preference. But I think in most Indian restaurants, North Indian is kind of what people are more used to. So I think we'll have
Yeah. All right. Wow. So excited to go back again. I don't know when, but
Yeah.
hopefully
when
soon.
everything soon. And because your food is really quite unique. It's something that people look forward to going to Nonies because you can get those type of food in Manila. It's kind of different. I like how um, you brought all your personality into the restaurant, and it's nice location in Station X. So just to close this conversation, maybe if you can address the restaurant industry or give some tips for those people, continuing to experience some difficulties during this time. Any advice for them or any just general tips on how you guys were able to be creative on navigating through this? I know not a lot of people would have that chance as well, but any inspiration advice would really help our friends in the industry.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, we're by no means experts.
Yeah.
If we were to give advice.
Yeah, I would say like we come from a human resources background, and that's sort of how we run our restaurant. And I think in this type of business, it's really the team that makes everything happen. Even if you are a chef or chef owner, it's a whole team that makes everything work. So you may have a really good item or a really good concept, but what we try to focus on is getting the team to focus on consistency, right? And obviously good food, good service. But if it's not delivered consistently, that's sort of the biggest thing we're hardest on the team on, and we try to really and it's always an ongoing process, right? So you always have to work on consistency. I mean, you have the usual, just know your costings and all that stuff. But I think for me, the biggest learning out of everything, going through, the pandemic and closures and just being in a brick and mortar restaurant, I think you do have to realize that you are front facing. You're part of a community. It's not like a online business or a tech business, or you're not selling products to retail. You're really a part of the community. So we learned that really quickly. Like there was a lot of local support, and I think if it wasn't for that local support and the community itself, it'd be much more challenging. So I think you really gotta. You may have an idea or a concept, but I think you really got to also focus on what the community might need as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think from, I guess, also a practical point of view, is really, really understanding what are your food costs right now. Things are more expensive on the island, so there's definitely items that we've had to remove, we've had to streamline our menu, and I think right now it's really about keeping your costs as low as possible and thinking about the long term. So, having, if you have a good relationship with your landlord, having those conversations about rental, making sure you're just keeping your costs as low as possible and just hang in there. And that's really what I could say.
All right. And what would Noni have to say about you guys?
She's probably on the line.
My mom, obviously, I think I think she's very proud.
Very proud.
She also, part of the reason we're here is they also live here in Boracay for half the year. So they retired in Canada and bought a retirement home here in Boracay. So they've also been part of our journey since day one. So they've been very supportive. Shriya's parents also very supportive from afar. My mom is very critical on her recipe. We never get it the way she wants it. But she is happy that people order it. So yeah,
she'd be happy.
She'd be happy. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Before we close, we have one last comment from Bettina. Those photos look awesome. Let this pandemic end so we can become amazing couple. I admire your resilience. and creativity and your love for the community. Keep it up. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. And just to end, what's in store for Nonies after this pandemic? Do you guys have any plans and in store for people in case the island is now open?
Yeah, I mean, well, we hope to just continue and really hang on and keep going. We have other ideas that we want to hopefully get to fruition, and hopefully Little Taj will be that next one where it has its own home. I would say, we're very positive on the rebound of the island. I think the island has a lot to offer. I think for people coming in, there's a lot of great things here. A lot of great restaurants. We have so many favorites that we go to almost multiple times a week. Dos Mestizos, Maya's, Pigao, Lemon Cafe, Los Indios. So
many.
There's a lot of options and very diverse options as well. So yeah, I think everyone here has been trying their best. They've been just like us. I mean, we're not the only ones, right? There's a lot of other restaurant owners here that have been fighting and trying to hang on. Yeah, our neighbors, Sunnyside, beachfront places, everything. No matter everyone's situation has been different, but we've all been fighting and trying. So I think when people come back, they'll feel that. I think they'll feel that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for sharing. Thank you for spending time and for sharing your story with everybody. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
Bye.
All right.